Hey folks, Dan here with some thoughts on writing. We're studying great writers and great writing, all so we can learn from the great writers and improve our own writing. And today we're going to take a jump into nonfiction, right? A lot of the same techniques we use in fiction and creative writing can be adequately used in technical writing, yes, I said it, and any type of academic writing. We have to be careful about making that leap. But technical writing and academic writing doesn't have to be boring. It can be interesting. An example of that is Brene Brown. Yep, I'm going there. Brene Brown. I know a lot of you are Brene Brown fans. This is one of her latest books. I just started it actually, and I'm enjoying it very, very much. And in this book, we see great writing techniques. So let's jump in and show you how she's writing not just an interesting book, but a well-written book, right? We just don't want an informational text like a textbook. We want an interesting read. Otherwise, people won't make their way through it. So I'm going to read here a couple of sentences, and it goes, well, back up a second. It goes like this. The transformation we need right now must drive deep collaboration, deep thinking, and deep connection. We're going to need leaders with the capacity for tough and productive conversations. We need a sense of discerning urgency. I'm going to skip ahead here a little bit. Trust building skills, agility, tenacity, humility. It goes on to say near the end of the paragraph, and the courage to lead people in a way that honors and protects the wisdom of the human spirit. I mean, just think about that. And I cut it short. Sorry, Brene Brown. But that's a paragraph, which is really just a couple of sentences that make me want to read on. I'm inspired just by the language choice, besides the fact that she's making a great point that makes me think, right? And so she's accomplishing both ends. She's informing me and inspiring me. I always talk about a little bit of inspiration in our writing and a little bit of perspiration. And she handles that beautifully in this book here. So let's look at a couple things here where she uses some techniques that I think we can incorporate into our own writing, again, fiction or nonfiction. Here at the beginning of that sentence I read, she uses parallel construction, right? The idea of repeating a phrase in a parallel way. So we have dramatic impact, dramatic effect. She says the transformations we need right now must drive deep collaboration, deep thinking, and deep connection. So that's a good way to draw impact, create impact, and stay parallel. And folks can follow along very easily. It kind of resonates well with the reader. So that's one technique we want to use in our writing, but not overused. And we see that again with the suffix endings within some. She creates a list here of skills people will need, and she says agility, tenacity, and humility. So again, parallel construction, repetition. Some people call it the rule of thirds. It goes by lots of names, but whatever the case, the idea of listing 3 things or 4 things that then have a similar sound to them is pleasing to the reader. And then the other thing I want to say that I think is lost on a lot of writers is the idea of writing a paragraph, right? And when you exit the paragraph, you end the paragraph, or certainly a chapter, on a really interesting note, because it makes someone to want to read on. And so here, some of the best writings at the end of the paragraph, and the courage to lead people in a way that honors and protects the wisdom of the human spirit. Wow. What? Protects the wisdom of the human spirit. Well, then I want to read the next paragraph. So it's sort of leading you on, because you just got to find out where she's going with this piece of information she wants us to know. So starting a paragraph, interestingly, or a chapter, obviously, yes, but then exiting purposefully so as to have the reader read on. So those are just some lessons I've learned from Brene Brown and other nonfiction writers who dare to write well and interestingly, and not just informatively. And so that's my challenge to you. I hope that's helpful to you. And thank you for listening in on this series where we study great writers so as to improve our own writing. Thanks. Have a good day. And that's it. That's all there is. Cut it. That's a wrap. In 3, 2, 1.